courage, I was able to push record, but I didn't come across as being myself, which was pointed out to me by my brother. Like, you're very nice and everything, but this is not you. So, and there are a lot of great speakers, I find, and I'm sure you've come across them because you evaluate all kinds of, thousands of people.
Yes.
I'm sure you meet great speakers that don't sound authentic, right?
Yeah.
So what can you tell us to help us to be more like ourselves on stage and meeting or on a camera, please?
Yeah, absolutely. To be honest with you, Patty, it's something I struggled with for a very long time and still sometimes wrestle with, because it's one of the hardest things to do in speaking. Be yourself. It sounds really easy, but it's really tough. And I think the best way to get there is to first figure out who you are. Like, who are you in your social life, right? When you're talking to your brother, how do you act in Patty's situation? But when you're talking to your family, when you're talking to your friends, right? How do you interact? Are you someone who uses lots of gestures? Are you someone who's very loud? Are you someone who is quite reserved and quiet most of the time? It's all about taking the real you in those informal, relaxed circumstances and bringing that to the stage. You've got to have the courage, the confidence to do it. And the only way to get there is through practice. You have to go up on stage and not be yourself for a while, unfortunately. Because by going through that, by experiencing the different styles which you can do in speaking, you're going to be guided in terms of what not only feels right for you, but what the audience feels as well. Because I've had times, especially early on in my career, where I went on stage and people say, Kyle, you seem like a Toastmasters robot. You just don't seem yourself. There's something untrustworthy about you. And it was because, yeah, they have, I know it was quite hurtful. It wasn't the sandwich feedback that day, let me tell you that. But I had to think about that and ask myself, why is that the case? And as I analyzed it, I realized I was spending way too much time practicing my presentations. Like, if I had a 7-minute speech, I would do that thing for not even a contest, just a normal 7-minute speech. I'd do it probably like 40 times. And when you do something with 40 repetitions and you're just early on in your career, it's very hard for that not to seem mechanical after a while, you know? So I had to learn, all right, I need to change the way I'm practicing, right? I need to be a bit more myself, not try and be this big polished speaker. I need to accept that sometimes I'll make a mistake, that not every gesture has to be perfect or in the frame or whatever it may be. So it's all about that journey of practicing, taking on the feedback and making adjustments, analyzing yourself. Am I truly being who I am? Do you know who you are in the first place? Figure that out and then work on it from there. But it's an everlasting journey, being yourself on stage. You'll never quite nail it, I don't think.
Yes. Well, you seem like you're yourself right now. I feel like I'm talking to you, right?
Yeah, I am myself. But another thing I should say as well with this is, yes, it's important to be yourself, but I also think it's important to be yourself on 10. And what I mean by that is, to be honest with you, Patty, right, there's been a few things that have happened today that haven't made me feel the greatest, right, about coming on this interview. I did a 12-mile run earlier, I'm a little bit tired, all of these things. But if I come on with that energy, and I'm quite flat about this interview, and I'm just wanting to get through your questions, it's not going to be very engaging for you, for the audience. I'm not even going to feel good about it, right? So I've got to make sure that I show up as a 10, show up with full energy, as my best, as who I am. So yes, be yourself, but be your best self, you on 10 when you're on stage. The audience deserve it. The audience deserve it.
I love that. I've never heard that before. Anyway, that's definitely quotable material. Be yourself on 10. Yes.